It's time to
Yeah.
talk about. I mean, let's be real here. A Game of the Year contender
Yep. Not even gonna lie. That is definitely the case.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Season Lamb Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Al and Lady
Hello.
This is episode 329, and it's time for us to talk about Resident Evil 4 again
Mm-hmm.
for the second time.
The second time.
Back in March of 2019, I was like, man, I should probably play Resident Evil 4 at some point. So I drove to Al's house. And I drove 10 hours to her house. And I was like, hey, can I come play Resident Evil 4? And she was like, sure, come on in. Let's play Resident Evil 4. And that's the story of how that happened, of course.
That's how it went down. Yep.
100%. No lies here. And we talked about that game in March of 2019 on episode 118 of the podcast. You know, we hung out, we did that together. We had some kitties fighting in the background, just the normal things that happen.
Normal things.
So, we had an opportunity to talk about the original game, the story of it, and everything. And the thing that I kind of came away from it was like, I understand the people who are, very adamant about this game, very high on this game.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it just hadn't aged well for someone playing it, 14 years after the fact.
Right.
So that was kind of a disappointment. And, 4 years later, now we have this remake
Mm-hmm.
that they have rebuilt from the ground up, basically using the RE engine. It is kind of based around the gameplay of the 2 and 3 remakes, 7 and 8, all of that. But it's Resident Evil 4 again.
Yes. Just different-ish.
Just different-ish. Which I know you were, like, when this was announced last year, it was announced last year, but also it has been, like, heavily teased for a few years before this.
Yeah.
You were excited but skeptical
Correct.
going into this because we'd seen with the 2 and 3 remakes how they are kind of more serious in nature than their predecessors had been.
Mm-hmm.
So, in Resident Evil 4 is a very different kind of animal compared to Resident Evils 1, 2, and 3 and Code Veronica and all that sort of stuff
I
prior to
wouldn't
it.
include Code Veronica in that. Code Veronica has some really silly story bits in it.
Okay. Well, in terms of this is way more of an action game.
No, you're right on that. You're right on that.
And there is a lot more silly stuff in nature in 4 compared to most of the other Resident Evil games that had come out prior to this.
Yes. Absolutely.
So it was going to be interesting to see, especially if this game really keeps that lineage up, or is it going to make it a more serious Resident Evil 4?
I was worried about this up until the chainsaw demo.
Yeah.
Literally, less than a month ago?
Yeah.
I was still worried, oh no, are they gonna, undo what I like so much about Resident Evil 4?
Mm-hmm. Because, there had been stuff coming out, previews of it and everything, and, one of the big things that came out of the previews was, oh, the dogs, you can't save the dog anymore, so, a lot of people were, worried about that aspect of it, if they're changing that, how much more of this game are they going to change?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I think a lot of people's fears were kind of alleviated once that chainsaw demo came out, which was essentially kind of a remake of the original demo that they put out, for the GameCube, PS2, everything else that they put a demo out of Resident Evil 4, where it's just kind of the opening bits of the game up until the village section where you get the title card and everything. And of course, the thing that everyone was very curious to see is if once the end of that village section happens, does Leon say the bingo line?
Does he say the line?
One of the most iconic lines from Resident Evil 4. And, at the end of that demo, he says the bingo line. And everyone, I think, was kind of just like, all right, I think this is going to be okay.
Yep, that's exactly what my brain did. Is as soon as I heard that was there, I was like, it's fine. This is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we played through that demo a month ago or so, and now we have both played through the actual game.
Mm-hmm. We played together.
Remake of Resident Evil 4. We probably won't go into like
do the voice. Do the voice.
Well, they don't do the voice here, so
Dang it! I thought you said they did if you do the original soundtrack.
yeah, but that's the original soundtrack. It's not the new stuff. We probably won't go over like the story that much because
you know the story.
We've already talked about it, so it's not like there's a whole lot that's new here. Like there's some slight changes here and there, but like for the most part, it's still the Resident Evil 4 story. So like,
right.
If you want to hear about that, go listen to the older podcast, and we'll talk about it there.
Right.
But before we dive into all of that, let's talk about the development of this game.
Okay.
Of course, this game came out on March the 24th of 2023 for the PlayStations 4 and 5, the Xboxes, and the personal computer. It was a worldwide release and everything, but let's talk about the development of the game. Of course, the original Resident Evil 4 was released for the GameCube in 2005 and then came out for like a bajillion other systems. It's on everything. It's on your
everything.
Fridge, probably. It's on your calculator, probably. Who knows? It's like Doom at this point.
I was thinking Skyrim, but...
Also Skyrim, yeah. Development of the remake reportedly began around 2018, led by Studio M2. Capcom brought the development in-house in early 2021, led by the Division 1 team, with many staff members who worked on the 2019 remake of Resident Evil 2 returning for Resident Evil 4. Producer Yoshiaki Hirabayashi said he found the idea of remaking Resident Evil 4 challenging as a result of its popularity. Kazunori Kadoi and Yasuhiro Onpo, who worked on the Resident Evil 2 remake, were selected as directors. Kadoi supervised gameplay elements, most notably how to use Leon's knife and its durability after encounters with enemies. Capcom minimized the use of QuickTime events in comparison to the original game.
Big time improvement there.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to because, like, I mean, QTEs aren't really in vogue anymore. I mean, like, the Yakuza series doesn't really use them as much anymore as they used to. So, like, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. The development team was split into 3 groups that worked on the 3 areas: the village, the castle, and the island.
Oh, that's interesting.
The team aimed to expand Ashley's characterization and relationship and make the story more horror-focused. The visuals were developed to improve the idea of horror, and the game was developed with the RE engine. While most of the Japanese voice cast returned from previous Resident Evil games, many English language roles were recast, which they're kind of just keeping over the voices they've started with in like the 2 remake and the 3 remake and all that sort of stuff. So like Leon's the same as he is in 2, Ada's the same as she is in 2, so all that sort of stuff.
Is she?
Yes, I think so.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I think she's new. Hold on, let me check. Continue.
All right. As with previous Resident Evil remakes, an additional cast provided likenesses, 3D modeling, and performance capture. Let's talk about gameplay. The team modernized the gameplay in line with the most recent Resident Evil game, Resident Evil Village, and the remakes of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. To assist in aiming, the original game used a laser sight on each weapon. This was replaced with a reticle. To appease fans preferring the laser, Capcom included it as an attachment early on. As with Resident Evil 2, the knife has limited durability and becomes worn with use, but can be modified. A new addition is the bolt thrower, a crossbow which can be used to stealthily kill enemies. The Ganados were reworked as more dangerous, forcing the player to use the environment against them, such as igniting flammable objects or barricading doors and windows. Changes to the environments are saved in the game, so return visits to the area will acknowledge the moved or destroyed objects, or sometimes they'll just, like, return to their form even though they're destroyed.
It's just, like, weird floating vase. That's so strange when that happened to you.
When grabbed by an enemy, the player can press buttons or use the knife to escape. As the Ganado's signature move is for their plaga parasites to erupte from their bodies, work was done to incorporate this into gameplay, with them dropping to the floor and convulsing instead of them immediately erupting. This action forces the player to ignore nearby enemies and prioritize killing the downed Ganado, putting themselves at risk.
It is a different voice actress. She was Jolene Anderson in 2.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I played 2 right before this, and I didn't notice a difference at all, so... Interesting. Anyways, here's about Ashley. Ashley's role in the gameplay was reworked to reflect Capcom's intention for her to remain with Leon because, realistically, she would never want to be left alone in such a dangerous environment.
True.
In the 2005 game, players could command her to follow them, wait in place, or hide in a dumpster. In the remake, however, Ashley follows Leon either closely, tight, or remotely, loose. Tight formation is used to escape enemies together, while loose formation helps prevent Ashley from being attacked by enemies. The hide command appears in a small part of the game where players can ask Ashley to hide inside the lockers. To maintain the challenge, Ashley's health bar has been removed and can no longer be boosted with the use of yellow herbs. When Ashley takes severe damage, she falls and must be revived to avoid a game over. A similar idea used in Resident Evil 6. That's right, take ideas from good video games.
True.
Like the original game, Ashley can be sent out at times with the player being able to lead her through holes to unlock doors. Unlike the original game, Ashley can descend a ladder on her own rather than force the player to assist her. She learned how to go down ladders.
She did. And I Ashley is a big thing that I think we need to talk about when we talk about this remake.
Sure.
Because she was one of the like main complaints people had with RE4 originally, which I could see some of it, but honestly, I think that people definitely were overblowing like how bad Ashley was. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think she was that terrible. Um, and so everybody when this was coming out, they're like, "Oh, how's Ashley gonna be?" Blah 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 blah. Um, Ashley's great in this game. Like her characterization is so good. I really, really like her like relationship and banter with Leon. Um, I appreciate they gave her a skort.
Skort.
They gave her a skort. Her skirt shorts. Um, but I think like one of the cutest things is when you go to like the shooting range with her and she's just like so jazzed to cheer you on. It's adorable.
I think it
Um,
helps as well that, like, the previous game, it was very much like this is an escort mission
yeah.
in terms of the gameplay and everything, that was very, again, something that was in vogue at the time
Hmm.
of video games in general. This game, though, it doesn't really feel like that. Like, it doesn't feel like, you're burdened with, like, oh, I got to escort this character around and all that sort of stuff, and it's going to be a pain in the butt. Whereas, like, in this, it feels more like, I think with the way they've changed the commands and stuff, that, like, she's less likely to get, like, grabbed or damaged or
Hmm.
anything. Um, unless you're, like, getting surrounded by enemies. And then
Right.
in that case, like, it's probably going to happen for sure. But it definitely feels less like, oh, this is a boring escort mission, like more like, she kind of just is a part of the gameplay and everything.
She feels a lot more like independent and like less helpless in this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. And she mentioned several times in the gameplay, like, "Hey, we're a team, right?" And like, "Yeah, we are. We're super duper a team," because that's something Leon would say. I was just really proud of her. She's really great. And I know somebody who made a tweet that they said that like if somebody doesn't like Ashley now, that they just hate women. That has nothing to do with Ashley at all. And I'm kind of inclined to agree with that. Um, because like basically every complaint that people had with Ashley, they changed, and like she's so good now. She's so good. Like I said, I didn't have as many problems with her before, but what ifs. Um, Also a funny thing about Ashley is that now there is the Moushly
Yeah.
meme, which is fantastic. And I approve of that nonsense.
I mean, also, they gave her the best alternate costume in the game.
The casual look.
Yeah, the emo look.
Yeah, yeah, with the
It's
chainsaw on the
so
back. It's
good.
so good. God, it's so good.
Oh, man.
I want that chainsaw shirt. I won't even lie to you. It's really funny.
What a good goof.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, she's just really endearing.
mhm. We got some other additions here. It's very brief. It says, while conducting their replays of the 2005 game for ideas, the developers took notice of the Blue Medallion mini quest in the village, which was not replicated elsewhere in the game. New mini quests were added to the village, with Leon being rewarded for finding certain items and hunting target enemies to the merchant.
And not even just the village, it's throughout the entire game.
Yeah, which I think is a good it's a good addition because it allows you to kind of go outside the box of the realm of like the story and doing other things.
Hmm. You want to get
Of
a
course,
lunker bass?
you want to get a lunker, you get a lunker,
Hmm.
big boy,
Big boy.
and like that gives you the spinels or spinels, whatever you want to call them, and that's kind of like the stuff where you can kind of trade in for bonus goods here and there. So like there's a couple of like bonus weapons you can get. There's bonus attaché case you can get that gives you different bonuses if you have it equipped and everything. There's a couple other weapon attachments and then like treasure maps and all that sort of stuff, and then like some goodies in here and there if you need them, like gunpowder or like treasures you can turn in for cash or all that stuff, or like the
For,
gold coins you can
for the
go for
gacha.
the gotcha, for the charms you can put on your attaché case and all that sort of stuff. So I think the addition of more mini quests was definitely something that was a good idea.
I agree entirely. That was fun.
They added in the Mercenaries DLC on April the 7th for free, but then they also added in like a bunch of microtransactions for whatever reason,
Well, that's
which is
good.
very weird and scummy, especially like doing that after the game's been released and you got all these glowing reviews.
Yep. Yeah, it was real scummy.
Little suspicious. But speaking of
Mhm.
reviews, it is currently at a 92 out of 100 on the PC, a 93 out of 100 on the PlayStation 5, and a 91 out of 100 on the Xbox Series X and S.
Wow.
Well, I think it is currently like one of the highest rated games of the year so far.
I would imagine.
Yeah. One bad thing though, apparently the new voice out of Ada has been harassed on social media by players who were unhappy with her performance. Which great. Glad the chuds are out there.
Well, and something that's notable about her is that she's the first Asian woman to play Ada.
Ah.
So, I'm sure that's not accidental. And like I admitted to you, like I didn't love her voice. Like I felt like she was stiff in a lot of places, but like I'm not gonna go harass this lady for playing Ada.
Yeah.
And like again, it doesn't feel like an accident that there's an Asian woman who's playing her and she's getting harassed.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of a thing that chuds do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, this game sold a lot of copies.
What?
More than 3 million in just the first 2 days of release. It has now sold over 4 million in its first 2 weeks. It is now the fastest selling Resident Evil game. In Japan, it was the best-selling retail game in its first week, selling 89,662 copies on the PlayStation 5 and 85,371 on the PlayStation 4. So, I mean, like, look, people like Resident Evil 4 because, as we've mentioned, they've put it out on everything.
Right.
And, hey, it turns out people want to play a new updated version of Resident Evil 4. Shocking, I know.
Shocking.
A license to print money. Let's talk about this remake though. This is a good looking video game.
It's really good looking.
Like the lighting and stuff just really nice. They have like they have like truss effects for hair and stuff. Like the ray tracing I think looks really good. It's just a nice looking video game.
Oh man, I forgot about the hair toggle.
Yeah, it's wild because I feel like I haven't seen that since like that first Tomb Raider reboot back in like 2016 or like 2014 or whenever that came out.
Oh my God.
So like seeing that in there, I was just like, huh. I mean, it looks nice. Like it does. Like the hair physics are really good, and like it looks really nice. So I was like, hey, they did something good here. But yeah, this is a very good looking game.
It makes Leon so much more blonde than he like
Mm-hmm.
normally looks.
Gives him a nice sheen.
It does give him a nice sheen. Yeah, and it makes everybody's hair like shiny and bouncy, which is wild because like some of these people would be very unwashed.
Yes. I guess before we get into my thoughts about this game, because I had a different experience playing this game than you did.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know your thoughts about this game. I want to know your thoughts about this remake because you are a big Resident Evil 4 fan.
Yes.
So I want to hear what you what you thought about going through this game, as you were very scared throughout it because you were a baby.
I am baby. Yeah. I mean that's definitely the case. I was scared quite a bit. I think I had mentioned this to you when we were playing it like through my playthrough.
Uh-huh.
As you mentioned, I love Resident Evil 4. Like it is a top tier video game. And I think that this basically does everything better than the original Resident Evil 4. Like it is a really good video game. And I think that going back to the original now would be very difficult.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of that I kind of miss, I mean, besides, the giant statue fight, I do miss that ripperoni and pepperoni. Um, is that there were do you remember how when you were playing Resident Evil 4, you might not remember this, that sometimes the baddies would like call you on your like comm device and you would have like conversations with them?
It's like similar to how it is in the castle, but like the other everyone else would do it.
Right. So like Sadler would call you,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Salazar would call you. They would just kind of like harass you for a minute and like taunt you, and that was really fun. I do kind of miss that. Um, but otherwise, like this was brilliant. You get more time with Luis, which was cool. He's a much more fleshed out character, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've mentioned Ashley's amazing. You get more with even like Krauser in this. Although he talks like a wrestler now, and that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He talks like a pro wrestler. Um, but yeah, I legitimately cannot see myself going back to the original Resident Evil 4 now, which is saying something. Because I
Mm-hmm.
can't even tell you how many times I played that game. I am baby, I am scared, but I was baby and was scared playing the original too. So, um,
I mean, at least you didn't get your head chopped off in this one.
no, no, that's a pretty famous story with me in Resident Evil 4 is that I
Yeah,
got decapitated and cried.
yeah.
That never
I
happened to
think
me.
I think we went over that in the original podcast, but yeah,
Uh,
that was definitely a thing.
yeah, that did not happen. I didn't get decapitated. I didn't die to a chainsaw zombie at all. Um, and I mean, I when I first played Resident Evil 4, I was in high school and like I remember a stick hit my window at one point and I just was like
That
um
tracks.
yeah, so like I've always been scaredy baby.
Yep.
Not unusual. Something that I really appreciate in RE4, the remake. I don't even know how to like I guess remake is the best way to call it because they don't actually call it Resident Evil 4 remake. They just call it Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate Ada a lot better in this one too. Um, because in the original she's got the whole like femme fatale thing going on and like they're all
Mm-hmm.
flirty. Um, with this one, there's a lot more like Leon's mad.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like him and Ada are like will they won't they boning type thing here. It's him genuinely feeling like mad and upset and betrayed by her, which is completely understandable and he should. Um, so I felt like that was a lot more realistic. And obviously people are still like, oh, he's still got the hots for her and all that,
Well, I
which
mean, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, but I mean there are several times that like the voice actor really pulls it off that Leon sounds pissed at her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, cool. But they have her still dressed like sexy, but not like, hey, here's a stereotypical Chinese woman in a dress like this. Oh God. Um,
She's got her nice, comfy sweater dress,
yeah, yeah. She had the back cut out, then it would be the Virgin Killer, and that would be pretty funny.
and
Um,
then Leon wouldn't be able to get the job done. He'd be like, "Awooga."
Awooga. Um, but yeah, I don't know how to fully describe to you how much I like this game. Also, you can save the dog.
Yes.
And the dog is a good boy.
They bait and switch you.
They do. The dog is a good boy and helps you out. Leon says that he's going to be a Leon pancake to go along with a Jill sandwich. Ashley says that she's the master of unlocking at one point,
Yep.
which was good. Um, but yeah, it really balanced. They say that they were trying to go more horror, but I think that they did a great job balancing like the B moviness of
Hmm.
RE4 with the spookiness.
Yeah, it's interesting they would say they were going more horror because I would say like this is not a red scary game at all.
Nah, I mean like I'm baby, so I'm scared of everything, but like
Yes.
I wouldn't consider this a horror game.
Like I mean, it's very much in the same vein as the original, where it's very action horror and just like horror elements in terms of like the design and everything and all that sort of stuff. But like, there's no jump scares or anything like that here. It's just like this is an action game with horror elements involved, like the original game was.
Right.
So, which I think works,
Yeah.
especially. I feel like I had an interesting path with this game because before playing this game, I played through the 2 remake for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that one's way more survival horror inspired, obviously, because that's how the original 2 was and everything. But like, this game's way more fun than that.
Yeah.
So much more fun than that. And like, I had my problems with the original version of this game as well, just like because like I feel like the controls kind of just hadn't aged well for someone coming to it, many years later. But like, the gameplay in this is just really, really good. Like, I think all the gunplay is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels just really, really good. I really like the stuff they do with the knife now. Like, I think the parry system is really fun. Like, once you get that stuff down, it's just like, it's so fun to just like parry and then blah, kick them in
Oh,
the
I'm
face.
bad at it.
Yeah, well, yes, but
I forgot that button existed.
yeah. Like that stuff's real cool. Like parrying a chainsaw, really good.
I mean, that's just funny. I love it.
It's really good.
Really good.
Like it's so fun. Like I mean, I've started my 3rd playthrough of this game, which is kind of wild.
Well, you're already at 3?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd start a third one. I knew you did 2, but nice. What do you do now? Turbo hard
I'm
mode?
No, I'm just waiting on the easy one because I just want to chill out. I still need to go get all those treasures in the castle section. So
Yeah, I gotta do that too. And all the
uh,
little clocky guys.
yeah, that knife that's has no durability. Very good.
Oh.
Very nice to have.
Oh. I plan on replaying it again.
Yeah.
After I get through Cold Steel 3 again.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're on your 3rd playthrough. Wow. You
Hmm.
really do like this game.
Yeah, it's real surprising. I played through it on easy first, just get through it, and then I played it on hardcore afterwards,
Hmm.
which it is very interesting to see the differences in the difficulty in that because like the Ganados are way more aggressive in hardcore than they are on like easy. Like
Oof.
they see you, they're instantly charging for you,
Oh no.
and you're just like ah. Which like I had like New Game Plus, so I had all my weapons and stuff, but still it was still somewhat challenging to do that and everything because like you just have to like be way more up on like your game in terms of like fending them off because they're just going to be after you immediately and everything.
Well,
So
and even having your guns, you would still need to make sure that like ammo is there.
yeah, that gets very sparse near the end of the game. Let's say.
Ooh. Um, I forgot to mention something that I should have mentioned about Ada because the two of us have decided this is where Ada and Agent became friends.
I think that is canon.
I think that is canon too.
It should be 100%.
Um, because at the end she's talking to Albert Wesker, who is not DC Douglas, which is a bummer.
Just yeah, that's maybe the biggest disappointment of this entire game.
Yeah,
Which like I get it, but at the same time, like DC Douglas is such a good Wesker.
such a good Wesker. But yeah, she's basically like, your idea sucks. We're not doing that. So she like holds a gun to the helicopter guy's head and is like, we're going somewhere else. And so the two of us have decided that that was Agent. And that's when they decided that they're doing their own thing together.
Mm-hmm.
They are a duo.
They are a duo.
She just
We will
forgot.
see more of it. We will see more of Ada and Agent in Resident Evil 6.
She just forgot to teach him how to open doors.
Look, he's good at some things. Other things, he's kind of inept at.
He can drive a helicopter. That's pretty impressive.
He can't get inside it though. He has to have someone open the door for him.
Yeah, true. Rip.
Uh,
That's pretty funny.
I do think that post-credit scene definitely brings up an interesting conversation to have of like they're clearly setting up for Resident Evil 5 in that because obviously that's just that's the next game in the series and everything. But like, is that a game that really needs to be remade at this point? Because like that's the first game they put out on the 360 and everything, and like it's modern enough in terms of its gameplay. Like I feel like when we replayed it, like it still felt kind of weird. It felt like that weird in-between stage of like having the 4 gameplay but also kind of having elements of like what they would do in 6, but like it's a weird mishmash of that, and it doesn't really work all that well at times, so it's kind of janky. But at the same time, like it is the first real like modern Resident Evil game that they had put out, and like do you really need to remake that when it is on basically every system imaginable as well? So if you want to play it, you can, and for cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are things you could do a lot better about 5.
Sure, 100%.
But at the same time, Code Veronica's right there and needs
Yeah.
that way worse than 5.
Yeah, that's the big glaring thing of like, man, Code Veronica desperately needs a remake at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like 5 is still a passable game. You can play it. It's fine. Code Veronica is rough to play now.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening, but yeah, they were definitely setting up some 5 stuff, which like you said makes sense because 5 is literally the game that comes after 4.
But yeah, I think the Code Veronica is the one that needs to be remade next. I would be very curious to see if they would like eventually go back and remake like 1, or if like they would do a remake of 0 at some point. Just to like put all those games in the same engine to allow you to play like, all those first however 4 games now, 4 or 5 games in the series, and like have them just look the same and everything.
You realize though, if they remake 1 in this engine, there's a part that I will not be able to play.
Well, yeah, of course.
Like, I will either have to have you take over and you get through it, or I'll have to have you play the whole thing and me just look away for that part.
I mean, there's also parts in 1 that I would be like not happy to play either, so.
You know what? We'll just play together and I'll take over the spider parts, you take over the shark parts. Win-win, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, they took the spider parts out of 3, so.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they want to do next with Resident Evil in terms of like, the remake division and what they're going to do with like a new game potentially and all that sort of stuff.
RE9.
So like there's definitely some very interesting avenues that they could go from here, but it's kind of up in the air because there's really no indication of where they're going next.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had an idea that 4 was coming because like it was kind of like a well-known, not super secret thing.
And it's the most popular Resident Evil game.
That too. But after that, like where did they go from here? And
yeah.
I don't know. But if they keep up the quality, then I'll play whatever they throw out there.
Yeah.
Because this was a fun video game.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they kept our boy the merchant as a really good character.
Yes.
Now he just, his back hurts. He's an old man.
I'm an old man.
He sets up the cute little shooting gallery for you where he cuts out all these little sailors and pirates.
Yep.
Makes you do gotcha.
He does make you do gotcha.
Yeah. You got some really good ones by the end there.
I did, yes.
I was pretty impressed.
There's also some real fun like speed strats in this game that like are just
yeah.
by default. I have seen some stuff like that apparently people are doing that's like, some of like the more wild stuff. Like there's a way I guess you can just like clip through doors now.
Oh God.
and do stuff like that. But like, there's some stuff in the game that like they just threw in there as like stuff you could just do intentionally. Like, obviously, there's the thing like in the very beginning of the game where you can shoot the bell from way away and just immediately end the village section altogether.
That's so cool.
There's like speed strats in the Ashley section where you can just like cut through a bunch of stuff and like avoid a lot of the like library section and all that sort of stuff.
I miss the treasure.
You can do a quick version of the wrecking ball stuff. We just like toss grenades at that wall, and then she just bonks it once, and you're like, all right, we're through, we're done.
Yay.
So like, it's interesting how much of like it's very like intentional. Like we put this in here so you could do it.
Yeah.
To get through these parts faster, and I think that's really cool because like it definitely leads you to some like interesting strategies and everything. It's going to be like really fun, I think, to watch like speed runs of this game just to see how wild and out of control it gets in terms of how fast people are doing this and like what kind of weird tricks they're able to find and able to use that are like either unintentional or things that like the developers clearly put in there for you to do.
That would be super fun.
I mean, like the one big one I think is like when you're going up the clock tower with the little Lord Boy statue, like you can just blow that thing up immediately. Because if you look, if you just look behind the head, there's the bombs in it, and you just shoot it, boom, it's gone, and you don't have to deal with it the entire time you're going up.
Why would you put bombs in your statue's head?
Look, our little Lord Boy isn't the smartest.
This is also the same guy who dies to an egg, so
true.
Oh man, which is a really funny thing that you could just throw a golden egg at him and he's like, "Ow, no, my weaknesses."
Yes.
Oh, and the throne is still there.
Yes, you get to sit on the throne, which we missed out on your first playthrough because we just didn't. We went there, but we just didn't sit on the throne for whatever reason. We didn't try it.
We didn't think about it, I guess.
Yeah, but like
I went back there. By eggs.
I think on my second playthrough, and I sat down there and I was like, "Oh, we can do it! We can do it! It's here!" And it does the cutscene that's from the original. Like it has him sit there. It pulls out.
Yep.
It does the pose.
Yep.
I was like, bravo, bravo.
And I think it even like the text is the same, right? About like no time to rest.
I think so, something like that. Yeah, I was just like, yes, that's what I wanted.
That's what I wanted.
Exactly what I wanted.
That's exactly what I wanted. It's perfect. Perfect. No notes.
Yep.
Especially when you have stupid outfits on, it's even better. Which is another thing that this game does really well is the outfits are so stupid. I love it.
Yeah, and there's also a bunch of like weird accessories you can get for the characters.
Like cat ears.
Yes, you can get cat ears for Leon. Yep.
I'll never get those because it requires difficulties that I can't do.
Yeah, especially because like they're like either do it on professional or like get the S+ ranking, which is like you gotta haul the game.
Right.
I'm just like, I don't really care enough to do that. I got the armor for Ashley. I'm good.
I would like to have the armor for Ashley, honestly.
Like I'm not getting the Tommy gun or anything like that probably, so. But I got weird accessories for Leon, like a knitted hat and a fur hat, and I could put like an armor helmet on him, or give him an eye patch.
Oh my god.
Or give him like 5 sets of glasses. So I think that's all okay.
Yeah, I think so. And because it's me, they made fishing an actual sort of mechanic in this game this time. Like in the original, it was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
That like you had infinite harpoons and you could go back and just harpoon the fish that were there as bait for you to shoot into the lake and get eaten by the monster, which I'm glad they kept that cutscene in. But now it's an actual thing. Like you can aim with the harpoons and get the fish, and like you can catch the lunker bass as a mission.
But there's only like 12 fish in the whole thing, and you have to like reset every time.
Yeah, there are 12 fish in the lake, including the lunker bass. So yeah, if you're actually trying to, do a 1-hour stream on fishing in Resident Evil 4, you kind of have to keep resetting.
There is another place you can technically do fishing in that game.
There's like a fishing farm, a fish farm?
No.
No.
There's a place in the castle.
What?
I think it's right before you go to the courtyard. There's like a little fountain area or something, like right near where there's a merchant stand.
Uh-huh.
But if you go in that fountain, there's just like fish swimming about, and you can knife them. So it's kind of similar to what you would do in like RE8.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
But yeah,
Oh no. Oh no.
there's a little spot you can catch like 4 fish.
Do you know how many times I'd have to reload if I did that?
Oh yes, I know, but I was saying like there is a secondary fishing spot, I guess, if you want to call it that.
No, that's really funny. That's really funny.
Ugh.
Amazing. But there is also like a fish farm.
Yes.
I haven't messed around with it too much. I need to replay it at some point, but
I mean, you got some time before for Zelda comes out, so
yeah,
you got a
sometime.
month.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
this game's good.
This game is really good.
This game's real good.
Really good.
Man. Good video game, good.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you like Resident Evil 4 now.
I mean, I liked it before. I just didn't like think it aged well.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't something I would go back and replay per se. But like this, obviously I've already done that, so
Um,
a little bit different.
I think one of the funniest things that's come out of this game is that at one point I got a text message from a friend and it was like I think 7 in the morning or something stupid like that. And he's like, "Why is everybody in this game so hot?" I'm like, "Okay." It's like Luis is stupid hot. Leon's stupid hot. It's like, bro, it's 7 in the morning. What are you doing?
Look, it's sweltering in the village. They're all just overheated.
I mean, not wrong though. Everybody is kind of hot. Luis's new
They all
jacket, pretty legit.
they all got swamp.
Yeah, they probably do. I also I feel bad because I killed Luis because when I was playing my playthrough, I was like, wow, he's lived a lot longer than he did in the original game. And then he
And
immediately
gets stabbed.
killed him.
That was just the perfect timing.
I was just so shocked because it's like, wow, he's lived for a long time. He did not live this long in the original game. Oh no.
Yoink.
Oh, I killed Luis.
You done goofed.
I know, and then we didn't even get to steal his lighter.
No, that's his.
It's his lighter.
What timing?
I know. I can't believe I did that to him.
Oh man. Man, oh man.
Man, oh man.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, we got the camp. We got some good gameplay.
Mhm.
We got some good interactions with characters.
Mm-hmm. I was scared a lot.
I was scared a lot. I'm baby,
Mm-hmm.
which was probably funny for you to watch, but also frustrating for you to watch at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Leon,
You got to watch me play a little bit and be like, what the why is this so different?
why is it so different? It was very different.
Because you got to see some of my speed strats and you were just like, what is happening?
Yeah, it was intense. Um, one other thing, oh God, my voice cracked. One other thing that I wanted to say was really, really good in this is that they really emphasize in this, like, Leon is not in this position of his own will. Like, he did not choose to be a federal agent.
He didn't choose the federal agent life. The federal agent life chose him.
Yeah, or else Sherry gets it. I mean, I think they kind of make it so that he's my dude's just depressed. You can tell. He's struggling. He's having
He's
a bad
just a
time.
couple years away from drinking in a bar with Chris.
And then getting the bar shot up and a guy killed. Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. But yeah, so like you have that like deeper characterization of Leon there, and I've joked before that Like I think him doing the like action hero lines and stuff is kind of like his coping mechanism um to deal with his like crippling depression from everything he's had to deal with. But I also don't think that I'm really wrong on that. Like it makes total sense that this dude's just going through some shit. And he's like, you know what? The only way to make this better is just to be an action hero.
Mm-hmm.
So Leon's depressed. Um, he's great. This game's great. I can't believe there are mods replicating the Leon tramp stamp.
That and also putting a My Chemical Romance shirt on Ashley.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so funny.
It's real good. It's real good.
I, I want one that like it puts an AFI shirt on her. That'd be pretty good too.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Oh man, I
Oh
want that
man.
chainsaw shirt though. That chainsaw shirt rules.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Anyways, Resident Evil 4 remake. It's very good.
Very good. Very, very good.
Good.
Definitely game of the year contender.
Yeah. And that's going to do it for this week's podcast.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sac.cool where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Jared and I Watch. That's the podcast. And you also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, and Hot Tubs and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, and a whole wealth of bonus content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, it's time for us to make a return to another beloved series on this podcast, and that's the Trails series.
Yes.
As we gotta wind out the Crossbell arc of games.
Yeah.
With Trails to Azure.
I'm so
Let's see
excited.
how that all wraps up.
Yeah. See what happens with Lloyd and the gang.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of that next week.
Bruh.